Welcome to another update summary video, this time around for update 2.51 Spearhead. As usual, let's look at the new ship additions. First of these, USS Oregon City, an Oregon City class cruiser sitting at rank 5, battle rating 6.3. Oregon City is a successor design to the Baltimore class, in a similar vein to what Fargo was to Cleveland. The superstructure has been made a little bit smaller in order to accommodate for better anti-air firing angles. Outside of the anti-air angles, Oregon City should play roughly the same as Baltimore or Pittsburgh in terms of armor, agility, and main firepower. Next up, going to the coastal fleet, we have two US additions. First, the Premium Rank 2 Battle Rating 2.0 PT-262. Not much to say about this boat really. 262 is a standard American PT boat for the early BRs. Carries 4 torpedoes, a Bofors 40mm in the back, 2 twin 50s near the superstructure, or the bridge rather, and 1 37 in the front. Whereas some of the other Tech 3 vessels will have a 20mm on the front as well, 262 just has the 37, arguably making its armament a little bit worse compared to some of its Tech 3 counterparts. At rank 2 it's also not the most useful rank for wanting to grind Tech 3s, but hey, there it is. 2.0 does mean it will not face destroyers unless you upgrade it yourself, and at 850 Golden Eagles it's not that expensive. The second coastal addition to the American Tech 3 is PGM-9, sitting at rank 4, battle rating 3.3. PGM-9 is quite a interesting looking boat. I wouldn't expect too much good from it. It is a motor gunboat, doesn't really have any specialization into anti-submarine warfare even, so it's just a boat with guns, no torpedoes, no depth charges, nothing like that. It does come armed with a 3-inch gun, a twin Bofors mounted rear, 6 20mm guns, and 2 50 cals. Quite heavily armed, although at 3.3, it's going to struggle a bit, I think, especially if you're going to get up there against destroyers. It's also not particularly quick, coming in stock at 32 km an hour. I haven't yet actually played this boat, and the armament does actually look pretty good, though sadly the main armament is the 76, the secondary armament is 40mm, so you cannot use your 20s together with the 40mm for maximum damage output against other coastals. Heck, you cannot even control the 40mm together with the 76. So whilst it is a very interesting looking boat and a pretty good anti-air platform for the battle rating, I think, it doesn't look all that promising. Again, I haven't actually played it yet, but I'm not really looking forward to spading it. Then, next on we go to Germany with their sole edition in the Blue Water 3, SMS König. Sitting at rank 5, battle rating 6.7, coming after Kaiser. SMS König is a very famous German dreadnought, but not all that special in terms of the in-game performance. Has the same kind of armor layout as the Kaiser, but the main difference is the gun layout. Whereas Kaiser has an awkward wing turret setup amidships with some restricted firing arcs to get all guns on target, SMS König has all guns centerline mounted, meaning that getting a full 10-gun broadside should be a lot easier to do compared to Kaiser. All in all, I'm actually a pretty big fan of these German 6.7 dreadnoughts, and having another one with even better gun angles sure looks quite neat. Then we go to Russia with its sole edition being the rank 3 battle rating 5.0 Erevan, a Project 48K destroyer. These destroyers were the successor class to the Tashkents with the same main gun armament. They are larger and carry a heavier torpedo load. Again, a ship I haven't really played yet, but rank 3 5.0 whilst being a bit of a rough BR for destroyers, this ship doesn't look all that bad. But at least it's a rank 3, so it shouldn't take too long to fully upgrade. Moving on to Britain, with the biggest fake out of this update, we have the rank 5 battle rating 6.7 HMS Centurion, a King George V class battleship. And sadly, not that King George V class battleship. All in all, again, nothing much to say. It's in a similar vein to the König in the German tree, where it's an armament we're already familiar with in the British tree. On a whole, that's pretty much the same performance as we're also used to. It is just another 6.7 to nicely pair up with HMS Orion. I'm not going to complain about more vehicles to fill up a lineup, especially at 6.7, which is a pretty good BR for early battleships. So yeah, other than it being a bit of a fake out with its class, it's, a bog standard British battleship. Moving on to Japan, we have 3 new additions. First, the Coastal Fleet, where we see Kari at 3.0, rank 3. Kari is a sub-chaser of the post-war, and if you're familiar with the other Japanese sub-chasers, the K3 and the K7, it looks incredibly similar to those, but instead of 40mm pom-poms, it has a twin Bofors mount in the front. Quite a significant upgrade in firepower in my opinion, though you do not have any secondary guns. No 20mm, no 25s, definitely the wrong era for that, no 50 cals, no nothing like that. Other than that, it's a sub-chaser, so it does get depth charges, it does get a hedgehog launcher in the front as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a nice addition to the 3.0 lineup, now having a full 3-boat sub-chaser lineup, with the 2 World War II K types, and the Kari with the Bofors. Definitely a nice addition to that lineup for Japan. And then we go to the Blue Water Fleet, where Japan gets 2 big additions. First of which I will look at the €80 premium, sitting at rank 6, battle rating 8.3, Nagato. Nagato is, well, Nagato. It is another Japanese 16-inch armed battleship, but this one comes in a full late war modernization with all the anti-air you would want. Nagato also had considerable armor upgrades over the Mutsu in the tech tree, making its magazines quite resilient. Sadly, however, due to the weird status of some of the armor types for Japanese deck armor, that's about it for its armor. It has the main belt, it has the well-protected magazines, and no other internal armor. No armor decks, no turtleback, no nothing. Nagato also is a bit of a controversial ship to have as a premium in my opinion, seeing as it is now the only Japanese 16-inch armed battleship we can get with a World War II anti-air suite. We can still get Tosa and Kaga or Akagi if we want to get them in their battlecruiser forms, and several other project Japanese battleships, but none of them ever saw late war AA fits, so seeing Nagato as a rank 6 premium is a little bit disappointing for that. And again, it is also probably one of the best Japanese battleships out there, with its excellent ammo rack protection, its high rate of fire with a 21.5 second reload time for the main guns at an aced crew, and it is of course €80, which is way overpriced for a ship like this. But oh well, it is what it is. 8.3 is a bit of an awkward battle rating for Japan as well, as it is the only 8.3 ship for Japan, so either you use it as a backup to your Yamatos, or you up tier your other 8.0s. All in all, a bit of an awkward boat, but it is what it is. Then the second Blue Water edition for Japan is Musashi, sitting at rank 7, battle rating 8.7. Musashi is, as you can see, another Yamato, but in the earlier fit with the extra wing turrets. And that is pretty much the only real difference between Musashi and Yamato, is the secondary armament. Less anti-air, more 6-inch guns. Does it make it a better ship? Not really. It has the same vulnerabilities, the same awkwardly angled citadel, the same main guns, the same reload rate, the same armor values. It is what it is. It is, however, a second Yamato, so now, with the use of just one backup, you can spawn 3 Yamatos in one match. Definitely a bit unexpected, especially without seeing more counterparts for America, Britain, Germany even. But hey, we do still have one more update before the end of the year, so let's see if they get something special then as well. Moving on, we go to Italy with its sole edition being the Italia. The former Littorio being renamed after the war, Italia is another, well, Littorio class battleship. With the same armor, same guns, same with awful reload, and sadly without the candy cane bow. To my knowledge, I think the only difference between Italia and Roma is like 2 anti-air guns. Let me check. Yeah, it has 2 less dual 20s. That is the only difference between the 2 ships. However, just like Musashi, it is a second spawn to your top tier lineup for Italy. Now, with the use of one backup, being able to spawn 3 H3 ships. Whether or not you think the Roma/Italia are worth spawning in 3 times is up to you. But hey, it gives Italy another top tier ship, even if it isn't the best out there. Then moving on to France with some interesting addition, we'll first look at the Blue Water tree for another similar situation. We have Clemenceau. Clemenceau is a rank 7, battle rating 8.3 Richelieu class battleship. With, again, the same armor, the same guns, but again, a different secondary layout. The layout on Clemenceau is quite noticeably different, with the rear sections gun turrets, and the anti-air is also purely French, whereas Richelieu has a American anti-air fit modernization on it. Clemenceau, being a project ship never fully completed, has the sole French anti-air armament, which, hey, pretty neat. And in a similar vein to Musashi and Italia, it gives you another ship to fill your top tier lineup for France, which I am never going to complain about. Then we move on to the French coastal editions, which are, as usual for French coastal at this point, quite interesting. First we have Commandant Dominé, which is a rank 4 battle rating 3.3 frigate. Yes, you heard me right. This thing has a blue water spawn. Commandant Dominé is definitely not the most beautiful ship out there, but it does carry a pretty interesting armament. It has a German 105 on the rear, a Bofors L60 40mm in the front, and then 6 20mm spread over the ship. It's a bit of a weird vessel, but hey, I'm not going to complain about another goofy ship, and France was lacking a little bit in the frigate department. It is definitely an interesting looking ship. And then, finally, we move on to Le Brestois. Le Brestois is a rank 5 battle rating 4.3 French frigate. And it is, as many French vessels, quite a unique looking one. If you're familiar with the French blue water vessel Guichet, you will recognize some of the guns. It carries 2 twin 57s in a similar amount to Guichet, and it carries the same torpedoes as Guichet with 4 triple torpedo launchers on the bow of the ship. On top of this armament, it has one automatic firing 100mm gun in the rear of the ship, as seen on the German frigates Köln and Lübeck. I'm not the greatest fan of this 100mm gun, to be honest. It is one of the few guns in Naval that will lose accuracy as it overheats, making it a bit unreliable at longer ranges. At 4.3, having only one large caliber gun mounted at the rear, only carrying high explosive, I am not expecting great things from this ship, especially seeing as the 57s also only carry high explosive. The torpedoes are also anti-submarine torpedoes, so not much use against large surface vessels. So yeah, this is going to be an awkward ship, especially coming in at the top tier with a top tier price tag of 320,000 research points. Whilst a very interesting and cool looking ship, I do not expect much performance out of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually went down in BR as well. But alright, that is all the ship additions this update. What else do we have? Well, not an awful lot for once. Anti-air got its range reduced in realistic battles by a small margin, not excessively much, but noticeable. Torpedo reloads in arcade have changed for wing-mounted launchers. Now instead of having to expend all torpedoes before the reload will happen, if one launcher is empty, then it will start reloading. This only goes for wing-mounted launchers though, and not for centerline-mounted launchers like on most destroyers. And then we go to our most controversial change this update, the new damage control system. This topic really does deserve a video on its own, but in order to not pad the runtime of this video too much, I'll try and summarize what this thing does. So, by default, you will have this new repair system selected. This new repair system, instead of having the 3 buttons to choose fire extinguishing, repairs and unflooding, those 3 buttons now swap repair priorities. What does this mean? Well, you still have your 3 repair types, obviously that won't change, but they are now activated automatically and are penalized depending on their priority and the ship you're on. So let's say you run a priority that is fire extinguishing, deflooding and repairs. If you go look at a ship like my ever-reliable Agano, and you go look at the modification screen, you now see a new button saying Damage Control. When you click on it, you see where to choose your priorities, but if you click on one of these priorities, you also see Damage Control specs. And these are the penalties for each of your priorities when you run multiple repairs at once. So, let's say you've selected the priority Fire, Flooding, Repairs. If all three happen at the same time, your fire extinguishing runs as normal. As it's your top priority, it has no penalty associated to it. Your deflooding would be penalized by a runtime multiplier of 1.22, so it would take 1.22 times longer than if it was no other repairs going on. And if you were doing repairs as well, it would take 1.72 times longer to repair than compared to normal. Interesting to note though is that these are your priority listings, but if let's say you only had repairs going on, it would run at one-time penalty, so no penalty at all. If you had, let's say, fires and normal repairs going on, because there's only 2 repairs going on, even though your repairs are selected as a lowest priority, they will still get the second priority multiplier because there are only 2 repairs ongoing. So, what is the major difference between this system and the old system? In the old system, the repair penalties are applied to all repairs equally if multiple are running at the same time and are dependent on crew skills. In the new system, the damage repair penalties are different depending on the priorities and depending on which repair you set as your priorities, and these multipliers are also different on a ship-by-ship basis, no longer dependent on crew skill whatsoever. So what are the pros and cons of both systems? Well, in the old system, or legacy system as I'm going to refer to it in the future, you have total manual control of your repairs. You can choose what to repair and when, and you can cancel repairs whenever you want as well. Although sadly there is currently a bug that forces you to use your deflooding repair in the old system, so you have repair penalties quite frequently. Of course, there is the fact that with the old system, the legacy system, you can still, not repair your engine to get a little bit more crew bleed advantage over your enemy. In the new system, the repairs are faster, especially doing multiple at once, and your top priority will never be penalized for doing multiple repairs at once, but you do not have the choice of when to repair, and you cannot cancel repairs either. But the new system, genuinely, to me, is quite comfortable, especially for coastal vessels, and at battleships BR, it's fine as well. So in my opinion, I'm fine with the new system. I haven't really let it run its course in destroyer and cruiser matches, as I haven't played those types of ships in quite a while, at least not extensively. But I'm not opposed to the system at this moment. Then 2 side notes. 1, I'm going to make and try to maintain a Google spreadsheet with all the ship repair modifiers. But to that end, I do want to explain something else. You may have noticed with the Agano that the modifiers are as follows. The top priority is always 1 times. There is no penalty for top priority. The second priority is a random value between 1.01 and 1.5. The third priority is always 0.5 higher than the second priority penalty. So to that end, when I make this spreadsheet, I am only going to refer to the second modifier, as that is the only real variable. The second thing I want to note. The default priorities that the ship comes equipped with if you use the new system is in this number 6 slot, fire extinguishing, repairs, deflooding. In the number 7 slot it is repairs, extinguishing, deflooding. In the number 8 slot it is unflooding, extinguishing and repairs. In my opinion, this is almost the most efficient default lineup. The only one I would switch out is fire, repair, flooding with fire, flooding, repair. However, here's a bit of an annoyance. You have to change these priority loadouts on a ship-by-ship basis. You cannot edit your general priority loadouts for like certain tiers, certain nations. You have to go into it and edit them ship by ship, and that is such a nuisance, especially when it also doesn't seem to be saving properly. So, at least the default selection isn't 100% optimal, but it is good enough, in my opinion. I've been using the default loadout on all of my ships, it's fine enough. Again, I do still have to fully try out cruisers and destroyers. So yeah, a controversial change that will get its own video, probably Captain's Classroom, in the near future. But I don't really want to get too much further into it in this video. If you like it or not, I've accepted it, I've gotten used to it. I think it's a pretty decently worked out damage control mechanic, and I can understand why they wanted to update it, as with their post, but again, that's a topic for another day. Let's just move on. As usual, as well, I highly recommend everybody to read the patch notes for themselves whenever an update comes out. It is very important to read through them, just in case I miss something, just in case your friends miss something, just in case you miss something. So, that is pretty much it for this update. One thing I do want to note is that during this update, I think a week after, or a week and a half after the update went live, we got a patch note saying that the map South Kvarken, the cursed map that has gotten nuked, map mode changed, spawn point changed, so many things changed to it over the past several years that it's unrecognizable from its first iteration. Apparently, that map has been removed for a rework. Let's just hope that a rework to South Kvarken is positive and not another fucking disaster. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this update. The dev cycle for December should be right around the corner, and I can't wait to see what that will hold in store. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one, hopefully soon.